Hello and welcome to another edition of Forkful of Noodles. I'm Krish Mohan. A few years ago, I was on tour with a few good friends of mine. We were driving from Louisiana to Atlanta in a rented Prius. The car consisted of myself in the back seat, a white comedian in the passenger seat, and a black comedian in the driver's seat. As we approached Atlanta, we got pulled over for speeding. The cop came up, and the first question he chose to ask was, "Any weapons or drugs in the car?" I remember thinking, what an aggressive way to start an interaction. That's like going to a party and looking at your white friends and saying, "Any ignorant or racist thoughts in your head?" We got a ticket and we were back on the road. I brought up the question and the black comedian said, "Isn't that what they always ask?" This was the first real experience I had with how different cops treat black folks in this country. Since then, I've been pulled over. I've noticed some cops will ask me my ethnicity and what country I'm from. That's an odd question, too. Do people from India speed a different way than people from Pakistan? I feel like hitting the accelerator is a shared experience despite race, gender, and ethnicity. Police brutality has become a major problem that has some light shed on it in this country over the last few years. And there's been a large movement about how race is a vital component of it. And it absolutely is. But it's not the only component of the issue. This is also a total abuse of power of those that are meant to protect the citizens of their community. It's disappointing to see there are certain people in law enforcement trying to relive the glory days of how cool and tough they used to be back in high school. Yeah, you got the prom queen when you were 17 by flexing, but now it's time to build a personality and learn what compassion and culture is. Another major problem is that none of these cops that are killing innocent people are getting prosecuted, which lends its hand into abusing their power. If your teacher says it's cool to pick on the nerdy kid with the thick frame glasses, of course you're going to give that kid a wedgie and a swirly. You might get bonus points. There's no accountability for the police at the moment, and those that are drunk on power, and some that are drunk on booze as well, will take advantage of that system. Now, there are also a lot of people arguing against the good cop theory. And sure, yes, good is a relative term, so let's define what this might be. Any cop that is out to protect and serve their community and is willing to hear out the issues rather than pull a trigger like they're in some John Wayne-esque cowboy movie is a good cop. Former St. Louis police officer Reddit Hudson said that about 15% of cops will go into the police academy for the noble reason, and 15% to feel tough, and the other 70% will be influenced by those around them. Basically, the police are like the cafeteria of your high school. You want to be friends with the thick frame glasses kid, but you also don't want to be dunked in the toilet by the jocks. Choose where you eat those chicken nuggets carefully. Peer pressure reigns supreme. Shouldn't the police be over peer pressure by now? If you want to be the popular kid, maybe being the cop is not for you. You can't diffuse a situation if you're trying to be loved by both sides. And if your fellow officer is going beyond the law, but you want to be friends with him because he's got that Xbox, that doesn't make your silence the right thing to do. Denying the existence of good cops is not looking at an individual's actions. Anybody that wants to be above their stereotypes but wants to deny good cops means they're doing the same thing that they're fighting against. It's the same as saying that anybody with long hair and a beard is a terrorist. It's crazy. Hippies can't be terrorists. Peace doesn't match the philosophy of terror. Fighting bigotry with more bigotry has never worked. One of the biggest problems is the disrespect of the value of life. Currently, we've placed a point system on life based on racial and economic status and what color shirt you chose to wear that day. More shootings of black people are publicized because their lives are worth more points to these shitty cops. And we've all heard the statistic of how white people get killed by cops more. Well, that's because their lives aren't worth as many points. So these shitty cops have to kill more of them to catch up. But the more points your life is worth, the less meaning it has, apparently. That's how this arbitrary and unneeded system works. And this point system has made citizens the enemy of the police. And if you're a cop and thinks that your life is in danger when a 120-pound kid is speeding, you might need to drink some chamomile tea and calm yourself down. Also, you're not that important that the whole country is against you. Most of the time, we're not even thinking about you. I mean, are you doing this for attention? Is this because your dad never took you to Disneyland? Look, it'll be okay, dude. You need to learn to love yourself. Killing citizens to show that you have authority over them won't get you the prom queen again. Nobody thinks murder is sexy. No one's life is worth more or less than anyone else's. A black person's life is the same as a white person's, a brown person's, whether they're a cop or homeless. Abuse of power in the law enforcement can be reduced if we start thinking that we're all worth the same. These trigger-happy cops have a heightened level of self-importance, fear, and paranoia. And we are all very angry right now, and we have every right to be. But anger is not a solution. The only way anger is a solution is if we can harness it to replace gasoline. Then we'd be recharging our cars every day, sitting in traffic, flicking off that old woman in the Buick. But that's what anger can be, a fuel to a solution. It's important for us to realize that none of us are as special as we think we are. Riots and cop killing are not the answer. Killing citizens is not the answer. Giving cops unlimited power is not the answer. Every single one of our lives are worth 0 points in this game. So why pull the trigger when it has no meaning? There's nothing to gain by killing each other at that point based on arbitrary categories and societal compartmentalizations. I'd rather sit at every lunch table in the cafeteria of life rather than just one with the nerdy kids or the cool kids or the jocks. That's been your forkful of noodles for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I have live shows coming up this year. I am in the Capitol Fringe in Washington, D.C. My shows are on July 16th, 17th, 23rd, and 24th. I will be in Charlottesville, Virginia at Fellini's on July 15th. Tickets are available now. You can go to my website at ramennoodlescomedy.com. That's R-A-M-A-N noodlescomedy.com. You can also order my new stand-up comedy CD, How Not to Fit In, at my Bandcamp page at ramennoodlescomedy.bandcamp.com. And if you would like to support all my DIY touring, videos, and podcasting, you can donate to the Patreon at patreon.com/krishmohan. Thanks for getting into it.